This is Talkline with Frosty Fowler, an hour of interesting conversation about the issues that affect your life. The opinions expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff, management, or advertisers on this station. And now, here's the host of Talkline, Frosty Fowler.
And I'm here with producer Jerry Berg. By the way, Jerry, I thought we did well down at Mount St. Helens.
That was a great time.
Very interesting. And today we have somebody that I think will really strike a sentimental note. His name is Chris Wedes. Only you know him as J.P. Patches. What do you think about Chris?
I'm a Patches pal.
Are you a Patches pal? Look, I'm wearing my T-shirt.
Right.
Okay, let's get to it right now. All right, Chris Wedes, coming on in just a moment. I think the program is Talkline. Where are we? Up at Volunteer Park?
The program is Talkline. Wait, give me that script over there. All those things that you.
I think we're up at the zoo. Up at the.
Wait, I'm ready to fall out of my bed here. Hold on just a second. Wait. Oh,
all this music, everything here is an introduction to our guest, J.P. Patches. Now there are people, Jerry. There are people up in Oak Harbor that don't know who J.P. Patches is.
And you know what? There are people in Oak Harbor that I don't know who they are.
I like that.
Yeah. So
Jerry, tell everybody who J.P. Patches is.
J.P. Patches, who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a TV star from the last 45
way back,
years, 125 years.
In the old days.
He's the guy that we woke up to in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And he woke us up.
I didn't wake up to him. If I did, I'm moving.
He was on the air on Cairo TV, and I was raising my children, and we watched JP together and grew up with JP, all of us big fans.
Didn't you and JP, didn't you play in the same sandbox?
No. We did play with the same yo-yo once or twice.
Did you?
Yes, we did.
Who was that yo-yo? Name names.
No, the real yo-yo, the Duncan
yo-yo.
Wait
a minute. Aren't we on the air? We're going to talk about J.P. Patches. How come you two guys
We're going to bring him in now.
Huh?
Okay, introducing J.P. Patches.
Oh,
all right,
okay.
Go ahead. Say something.
Oh, okay. Well, I started in February 10th, 1958. I came here from Minneapolis, where I did several kid shows back there. And came here, and Channel 7 was not on the air at that time. And the very first show they televised was my program. It was on at 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's when I bought my place of residence, the Seattle City Dump, from Mr. Slick. And I went off the air in September. I don't remember the exact date. I think it was middle of September, 1981. It was almost.
You don't do anything for Cairo now?
No.
Does Lloyd Cooney still send you Valentine cards?
He didn't send me one when I was working there, so I don't know why he'd send me one now.
When he sent you $10?
Mr. Cooney no longer works at Cairo. The station has been sold several times. Cox Broadcasting owns.
I don't know who they are.
Well, I think it's an Atlanta company.
Big company.
They own. I think two sisters own the company. They have stations all over the country.
Now, this is interesting. Now, you're from St. Paul, Jerry.
I'm from St. Paul.
And Chris is from Minneapolis.
No, actually, St. Paul. I was born in Minneapolis and lived there and worked there, but I grew up in St. Paul.
Do you know about Dayton's Bluff?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes, I certainly do. I know about Dayton's, too. Dayton's was Frederick and Nelson of the Twin Cities.
That's right.
And then they purchased Marshall Field. And they call their company Marshall Fields, but they also had another little sideline they called Target. They had Target stores, and Target stores did so much better. Now the company is called Target, and Target owns Marshall Field.
Your identity with J.P. Patches, Jerry, would you agree with this? Is so strong that I run into people all the time. They think your real name is J.P. Patches. And yet that the identity,
well,
it's not.
It is. Let me. 2 weeks ago, I was at a grocery store. I bought some groceries, had my checkbook out, and signed, for the groceries, and gave it to the clerk, and looked at it, and he looked at me, and he says, "Hey, wait a minute." He said, "This says J.P. Patches." I said, "No, it doesn't." "Yeah, it's J.P. Patches." Well, forgot my name.
You signed the wrong name. You signed your stage name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm always signing autographs, so
yeah.
But
I. What do you think of this, Jerry? I asked myself, why is this man been? And if you folks don't know who he is, again, this man has been so successful with his identity of playing the kid's clown, J.P. Patches. I think what J.P. does, or Chris does, he relaxes in his character. So he's J.P. Patches. He's a human being. He doesn't act like he's on stage. He just is relaxed in that, and that's why he's so successful. Give me a comment on that.
Well, he entertains generations all at the same time. And I would say if you haven't seen JP, if you're a generation behind or two, anytime you can find out where he's going to appear, you need to take your kids and go see him because you'll all be entertained thoroughly.
What does Joan call him? That's your wife, Joan. What's she called him? Hey,
I can't say that on the air.
My dad used to call me Fat. What do your kids call him? Did they call you Dada?
Dad, fine, yeah, great. Speaking of names, at one time I had this oven on my program, and I said one day, I wonder what's in the oven. And I opened the oven door, and the sound effects man put this turkey sound out. So, I kind of had fun for a week or so, opening the oven and listening to the turkey. And I decided to give him a name. Well, the audio man, his name was Kevin, so I called the turkey in the oven Kevin Turkey, which was kind of fun. We all laughed. Well, then I started getting phone calls from mothers. Would you change the name of your turkey from Kevin Turkey to something else? My boy is getting teased in school. They're calling him Kevin Turkey. Please change it. So I went to my director, Joe Toohey, who was a kind-hearted person, very thoughtful and considerate.
Joe Toohey was Count Dracula.
I know, and he was
successful.
So I went to Joe and explained the situation, and Joe listened to me, and being so kind and considerate, he said, well, if the little squirts can't handle it, it's too bad. Well, we all laughed about that, and I changed the name from Kevin Turkey to Tyke Turkey. Tyke. I happen to know someone named Tyke, and I knew that person wouldn't be offended because Tyke happened to be my nickname when I was a kid. My name
Tyke Turkey.
Not Turkey. Tyke. That was my nickname.
Without the turkey.
That sounds like
Frosty without the turkey.
Because my name is Chris, and a diminutive, the Greek people, like Bill and Billy and Tom, Tommy, would be Christyke. You put a Nike on the end of the name. So my name is Christyke. So they call me Tyke. So that's how Tyke Turkey.
You got any pets in the house? You got any dogs or cats?
No, I had a dog. I had a Schnauzer for about 12 years, but he went to Schnauzer heaven, I think.
When you would put on your costume, ready to go out on a job, would the dog ever growl at you?
I didn't have to put the costume on.
He thought you were dinner.
I have had certain animals that, they're not particularly fond of clowns. Once in Minneapolis, the Ringling Brothers Circus was in town, and I was doing the J.P. Patches show in the morning. And a man came down with a lion that was, I have no idea how old it was, but it was probably almost the size of a Great Dane. It was quite large. It wasn't a full-grown lion, but it was huge. Well, I saw the lion coming, and padded in, very docile looking. Well, when he came in the door with the lion looked at me and lunged, and I jumped back. The lion shredded my trouser pants, and luckily he had a rope on the neck of the lion, and he could pull the lion. But I was up against. That day, I didn't need the white makeup because, boy, I was scared.
Was the man kind of also apprehensive or scared because the lion had attacked you?
I wasn't worried about him. But he managed to pull the lion off, and we kind of laughed and chuckled,
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I wasn't laughing. So anyway.
Mother and Dad, are they still around?
No.
They're gone.
Yes. My father died when I was 21, I think, or 20. And my mother died, let's see, 1975.
Any of your family, like brothers or sisters, ever look at you and say, Chris, when are you going to get a real job?
Well, my brother and sister have said that forever. My brother is the big disappointment in our family because he's a doctor, you know. Yeah. He could have been a clown or something. And my sister married a military person, and they traveled South America, you know, here and there, you know, military family to Japan. They were in Japan and Bolivia. And
we got to take a break, Frosty.
Okay. When I come back, I'm going to ask Chris, what would he have gone? What would he have been if he'd gone in for a real job? Back in a moment on Talkline, our guest is J.P. Patrick. That's part of J.P. Patch's theme song. And thousands of kids, now adults, and their kids, have been aware and to follow J.P. Patchett. And he's a likable man in person. His real name is Chris Wedes.
I'm still getting inquiries from people saying, what was the name of your theme song? And I said, well, it was a Spike Jones. And most people, younger people, 30 and younger, have never heard of Spike Jones.
Did you know, Chris, that Spike Jones married a woman from, I presume they're still married. I don't know whether Spike Jones is alive yet, but she was from Tacoma.
Uh-huh.
So I know. What does that prove?
That's right. Well, you were from Tacoma.
I'm from Tacoma, City of Destiny.
I have a disc in front of me. That's Spike Jones and his City Slickers. The cut is called William Tell Overture.
Uh-huh.
And you use part of it, but it's an interesting piece of music, to say the least.
It is.
My question before we took a break was, if you had gone, can I use the word straight, if you'd gone in and become a professional man, you know, your brother's a doctor and your sister's married to a military man, and what would you have been? Did you have any thoughts going in?
Well, I wanted to get into radio. I was, as you probably can tell, I have a wonderful radio voice.
Well, you do indeed.
And I worked at a radio station for a while, and then television reared its ugly head. I think radio was more fun than...
So you actually did radio and...
radio. Or I think I wanted to be a teacher. I was always interested in history and things like that, English.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I met a young girl who was in the 11th grade at one of the high schools, and I said, was it a good school? Oh, yes, wonderful. I said, I'm going to recite something to you that I learned in 11th grade, and if you can tell me what it is, I'll give you 2 suckers, because I was handing suckers out to. So let's see if you know what this is. This is something I learned in 11th grade.
Here it comes.
Wanda Aprila with a shura suited the drata mercy pierced to the root and bothered every vein in Swish Lacour, of which Bertie and John there is the floor.
It's not the Gettysburg Address, is it, Jerry?
Sounds like the Pope.
Well, believe it or not, it's English. It's Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. And I had a wonderful English teacher, and, I memorized all these things. I still remember the things I had to memorize, but I forget to take the garbage out in the morning.
So you would have been...
I can do it again for you. One that Aprila with a shoe. Okay.
Well, I studied Chaucer's Canterbury Tales in college, but I didn't in high school, not the 11th grade.
Oh.
Joan, we've taken care of her. Is she from Minneapolis?
Yes, she's from Minneapolis, and I was from the good city, St. Paul.
Yay.
What makes St. Paul so charming? It's the root, really, of the area, isn't it? It's the father community.
There was something different about St. Paul. First of all, it's not laid out the way Minneapolis. Minneapolis is kind of flat, and one city block looks like another city block. Whereas St. Paul, there are hills there. The streets are horrible. They're winding streets.
It's just kind of like Poquim is to Aberdeen.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Chris, but maybe the ethnic culture areas.
It is different, too, in St. Paul. Yeah. Of course, predominantly Scandinavians in both cities, but St. Paul has a lot of Irish, In fact, the Irish Catholics ran that town. The mayors and then there are a lot of Polish,
Italians too.
Italians,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where I grew up, I grew up on the west side of St. Paul. There were Syrians, Greeks, Armenians, Polish. There was a girl who I remember. She had the most beautiful name. Her name was Sophie. That was her first name, and her last name was Malakwe. Sophie Malakwe. But if you looked at it, the way it was spelled, it was MJZ. I don't know how it was pronounced Malakwe, but it was a Polish name, but beautiful.
Did you ever go back?
Yes. In fact, I'm going back for my 60th high school reunion in September. 60 long years. Boy, they pop up.
Are you going to MC?
No, I did for my 50th. And I never rehearsed my television program. I never wrote anything down. But for my 50th, believe it or not, I wrote everything down. And I rehearsed. Stood up and went over the list and had it all memorized and got up, and I thought I did a great job.
It's a shock when you go back to a high school reunion and you see people that you don't recognize. And yet in high school you knew them very well. They do change, don't they?
Well, that's because our eyes are not as strong as they used to be.
You have performed for so many kids and so many parents and so many schools and stores. Somebody said in Ballard one day, I heard him say, J.P. Patches is for the birds. And so I gather they wanted to erect a statue for you. Is that right?
For the birds, right.
In fact, I think maybe, Jerry, what do you think of this? He could be canonized, couldn't he? St. Patches.
Yes. I think they said for the Bergs.
Oh, for the birds.
Me and my two
I can
kids.
be canonized. Wait, I have to give you my Latin for that. Mica mica parva stella miru quistum sistum bella splendis eminus inumilo. Hey, that's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
I love it.
Yeah, ninth grade Latin.
Yeah.
See, I remember those kind of things.
Do you speak Greek profusely?
No. Oiki, which means no.
I hope I don't jump ahead, Frosty, but getting back to the J.P. Patches show, you mentioned that you never rehearsed. So what was the preparation, a typical day for you arriving at the studio to get on the air?
Well, we'd have a cup of coffee. That
was it?
That was it.
Uh-huh.
And say, what are we going to do today? And then someone would have an idea, and I usually would veto it. They'd say, you never use our ideas. And then we'd come up with something. But there were times, believe it or not, where we would start the program. We had no idea what we were going to do. I just started talking, and maybe the audio guy would throw in some crazy sound effects, or the phone would ring, and I'd pick it up, and then I even would come up with a contest, send me your jokes or something, just to fill time. But most of the time we had some sort of an idea. I'll give you an example. One time, Gertrude and I sat down and we said, here's what we're going to do. Gertrude is going to come in and tell me that she quits being the telephone operator because Stan Borison is going to pay her more money. Stan had a program on King TV for many years.
Right.
So the only way I could convince Gertrude not to go to Stan Borison is to have the audio man play some polkas and play them, wow them, And and Gertrude would think, Stan plays these polkas all the time, and the polkas would be playing. Then finally, Gertrude would say, you know what, Julius? I think I'll stay here with you. Okay, that was all set. There was a knock on the door, and Gertrude came in, and I said, well, what do you need, Gertrude? Well, she forgot what we were going to do. Believe it or not. And I said, oh, Gertrude, you forgot what we were going to do today. Let me look at the script. Well, we had no script, and I picked up a piece of paper, and I went through it. Now, you were going to quit and work for Stan Morrison, and then we started the program, but the program was never stopped. All of that was on the air.
More with J.P. Patches in just a minute.
not Hawaiian, I don't think. Anyway, we're on Talk Line. I'm Frosty Fowler. Our guest is
Well,
J.P.
Frosty,
Patton.
let's talk about you now. Here you are back from Hawaii, and you lived over there
3 years.
3 years, and now you're back.
I would say it's a wonderful place to visit. And I think the Big Island I think it's the best. Kauai is good, getting a little crowded. Maui is getting very crowded. And Oahu is very, very crowded. The Big Island, or the island of Hawaii, of which Kona on the west side is the major community, and on the east side is Hilo. But it's a good island, has volcanoes, it has observatories.
Yes.
Coffee grows at Kona.
Oh, terrific. It's a beautiful state, no doubt about it. But, each state has something. Different and outstanding. Washington has so many wonderful, the eastern part and the western part. And now you're living in Paulsville.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little story about Paulsville. I had an appearance over there for the Ludafest Festival one year. And the contestants had to pay $7 to be in the contest. And we had about 7 or 8 people entered. And then finally, it wound up there were 2 people left. The one person was from Paulsville, and the other person I remember was a teacher from Des Moines. And they had to eat a pound or 2 pounds, whatever it was, in a certain period of time. So I said, get on your mark, get set, go. So they started to eat, and the teacher reached over and took some food off of the Paulsville's plate and started eating that. Well, that completely discombobulated the person. And I had the microphone, and I said, well, how you doing, Bill, from Des Moines? Oh, I'm doing fine. I just love this stuff. I went over to Eric, and I said, how you doing, Eric? He threw up.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, he threw up. And he was the local hero. Ooh.
And he couldn't handle it.
No.
I did that every time my parents made me eat that stuff.
Chris, do you have any videos out? Are there videos that are available for people?
In fact, I just released 4 of the videos, which were on VHS on DVD.
Supposing somebody out of memory wants to get one, or maybe show their kids, or have fun at a summer party they're having, how do they get them?
Well, there are several different places. One of them is the Museum of History and Industry.
Yes, that's a good place.
Right. And then the other place they call Channel 9.
Excuse me. A Museum of History and Industry is down kind of over what? Not
by the university.
Yeah, all right.
And then they can call Channel 9. Channel 9 has JP shirts. They have buttons. They
like
have,
this one I'm wearing?
Yes. You're wearing a black and white, and it says Patches Pal on the back.
Yes.
Personally autographed.
Yes. Personally autographed. However, it's autographed to my wife, Sue. And she was good enough to loan it to me today. And she wears this proudly to all the grocery stores and even Costco. And
in Paulsville?
It's fading.
It is.
Yeah, it's fading.
Well, then again, so are we.
Well, no, I would say you're not fading.
Mine is perfectly preserved in a plastic bag upstairs in my dresser drawer.
Do you have an
wife?
icebox?
No.
I thought it was in
my
the icebox.
JP Patches shirt.
We were talking about wives, and you said yours.
No.
If you folks,
Mine's perfectly preserved, but she's not in a plastic bag.
if you would like to hire this man, it isn't that he needs the money. You don't need the money. But if you'd like to have entertainment at your, I don't know why I keep mentioning this. A lot of churches have good outings for kids and for mothers and dads, and you wanted to entertain the kids. Or
Well, most of the time, yeah.
Most
of my appearances, other than fairs, I'm going to be at the Kitsap Fair and Stanwood Camino Island Fair and Grays Harbor and Mason County and Tacoma, Pierce County. But most of the appearances are for 40 and 50-year-olds. They're the kids.
All right. So how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website. It's www.jppatches@jppatches.com. Or they can just go to www.jppatches.com. Or they can call Channel 9.
Or just put jppatches.com in your computer and it'll find him.
Yeah, it'll
There's
find
an
me.
email on there.
I would like to say, Jerry, agree or not, the fellow, Chris, J.P. Patches, has a very clean show. You can trust him. He's a kind of a father figure. And no bad language. You ever use a bad word around a kid?
No. There have been times when I probably slipped up and said something that perhaps had a double meaning.
Oh, no.
Yes.
But you do very good shows. Your my nomination for St. Pat.
Well, it's kind of you to say that. You know, it warms the cockles of me heart.
Have I got time for one more quick one?
6 minutes. We're out.
All right. Okay. Now, I remember one time you guys were going to a show, and Gertrude was in the back seat with you, and you were there, and you were talking, and you saw a kid standing in the corner. And you said, "Stop the car. I want to talk to him." And he said, "We got to go to the show." Be back in a moment on Talk On. What part of Seattle was that recorded? It sounds like where? Edmonds? Down by the ferry dock?
You know, I had several other theme songs. The one in the afternoon, I can't think of what the titles are, but some of them were very nice, great songs. But
it's almost like this is a copy from Midsummer Night's Dream. I think it was.
Yeah, but this song certainly identifies my program.
This was the morning theme, I think,
right,
because a lot of times the show opened, you were waking up from behind something.
I'm still asleep.
I was telling you, folks, before we took a break there, that the staff car was going to a show somewhere, and Gertrude, well, I mention her in a moment here, but you all were in the car. Somebody was driving. I guess maybe Joe Toohey was also. And you saw this kid standing, and I guess he looked kind of forlorn to you, something, Chris, on the side of the street. And you asked that they stop the car. They said, "No, we got to go. We're going to be late." "No, just a moment." And you made them stop the car, and you got out, and you introduced yourself, and the kid was wide-eyed. "Everything going okay, kid?" "Yes, sir. Yes." "Well, I'm J.P. Patches." And you gave him an autographed picture. And it doesn't sound like a big thing, but I think that sums up your attitude. I think you really like this.
I think he sold it on eBay last week. I've seen some of those pictures. There was one
but
from many...
let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You really like kids, and you get along with them.
Oh, yeah. You know, I can't tell you how many times people have said,
"I heard he hates kids."
And then the classic for every kid host in the country. "Well, I heard that he didn't know his microphone was turned off, and he said that ought to hold a little, you know." Somebody
there was a cruel
said that
statement
about me. They said that about Stan Borison. They said that about Brakeman Bill. They said, you know, my friends in Minneapolis. You know, it's just a old wives' tale.
It's unkind character assassination.
I think if the host doesn't like kids, the kids will see right through them.
Yeah. You can't fool kids.
Right.
Well, anyway, speaking of cards, there was a card on eBay several months ago, a card of J.P. Patches that I had in Minneapolis, and it sold for $87. Wow, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of kids, this is kind of a funny story. I had a parade up in Snohomish one year, and I had to get there and park my car before the parade because, you know, there was no place to park in Snohomish. You know, even today, there's still no place to park, you know, because of all the antique stores. Well, I got there early without makeup, and I went into a restaurant to have a cup of coffee, and there was a woman there with her son who was about 8 or 9. And I started talking to him, and I found out that little Billy lived in Monroe, and he had a sister who was playing soccer, and she couldn't make the parade. And his dad worked in the mill, and his teacher's name was Mrs. Peterson. And I got all this information. We were talking about this and that. And I said, "Well, I have to go, Billy." And he said goodbye, and the mother said, "Well, nice talking to you." So I went down to a friend's house where I made up. And I got in the parade, and as I was going along, who was sitting on the curb but little Billy? And I walked up to him and I said, "Billy, how are you? How's your sister Sue? Hey, when you see Mrs. Peterson, you tell her hi from me. And I know your dad's at the mill working and he couldn't make it." The mother looked at me, her mouth ajar,
How did they know all this?
Yeah, stunned. And I said, well, I got to go now, Bill. Goodbye, JP. And I'm sure to this day, how did JP know all this? Maybe they put it together, but anyway.
But I think it's also a credit to you that he took the time to remember what the kid told him, Billy told him. Yes, Jerry.
Absolutely. I have a story. Chris had a boy playing hockey in the Snow King hockey. He was a goalie, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And anyway, I was the photographer for the league, and I would go up there and take pictures. And I know several times I was standing next to Chris taking pictures of a game and talking to him. And I didn't know who he was. So one day, I'm down at Cairo TV and taking some kids down there for a yo-yo presentation. We had a yo-yo champ on the air, and I took some kids down. And Chris invited me to have a cup of coffee with him after the show. So we went into the dressing room, and he's taking his makeup off. And he's about three-quarters finished taking the makeup off, and all of a sudden it dawns on me that I know this guy, that I'd been standing next to him at the hockey games talking to him and never put the voice and the character together.
I think a lot of people did that, Jerry.
Yeah.
Speaking of the makeup room, this was way back in 1958. I was in the makeup room taking my makeup off, and there was a gentleman in a tuxedo. And this was early in the morning, and he was kind of freshening up, obviously he'd been out all night somewhere. And I said, oh, are you going to be on the Don Riley show? We had a program on after mine, and Don interviewed different people. And he said, yes, he said he was going to be on a Don Riley show. And I said, oh, are you in a band? And he said, no. I said, oh. And I'm trying to think now, why would this guy be in a tuxedo early in the morning on Don Riley? And I started talking to him. Well, it turned out it was Senator Jackson. He had
Scoop in a tuxedo?
Scoop, yeah. He'd flown in from Washington and some kind of a thing. He didn't have time to change.
Wow.
He was going to be on the program.
And I would have to add that.
And I didn't, I had never met him because I was new to Seattle.
Sure.
But afterwards, I saw him on several occasions, and we kind of laughed at that little first time meeting.
Scoop was a real guy. He was very down to earth.
He sure was.
I have to add 2 or 3 things here. How long would it take you to put on your makeup?
About a half an hour, and it takes a half an hour to remove it, but I can never really get it around, get it off my eyes, around the lids. It's a little white eyeliner.
Did your eyes ever bother, suffer anything from
No.
Another one, I want to say, Jerry, if, say, J.P. Patches was hired for, say, a 3-hour appearance, he and the rest of the gang, and at the end of 3 hours, there was still a line of people, and there could be a tendency to say, well, you guys are going to go. Patch wouldn't leave. As long as there were people there waiting to get a picture and an autograph, he would beat them.
No, but I used to see the pretty girls in the line. Yep. I'd always get a hug from them.
Yeah.
I'm not so dumb.
I was hoping they're at the end of the line.
JP, you can spoof all you want to. You're a decent guy, and you never left while there were kids still waiting in line. Now, another one is Count Dracula. I had a helper named Priscilla Drogi, and she's just about as fine a lady as you want to run into. And I remember one time, Count Dracula came over and gave her, he said, I love your blood, let me kiss you on the neck. And doing his best Hungarian accent, and he left a big imprint on her neck. And absolutely, I think she wore that as a badge of honor for a long while. Count Dracula, now he's...
unfortunately, Joe died in 1988, but he was just a super guy.
He put himself into it, didn't he?
Oh, he was great. He was my director for many years, and occasionally he'd be on my program. He took the role that I did of my evil twin brother. I Am Rags, J.P. Patch's twin. And I used to do I Am Rags, and we'd film it, and then we'd have a split screen. Well, it got too complicated, and then Joe took over as I Am Rags, so he was great.
A gentleman, truly a nice man, and Gertrude. I want to ask you about Bob Newman, and he's also part of your family, your gang. We'll come back in a moment and talk about it. And And let's go back to our guest, J.P. Patches, recalling a lot of memories. In fact, he's making 2 memories all the time, brand new ones, because if you would like to have J.P. Patches come and entertain your group somewhere, or I don't care if it's a car lot or whatever it is, give the man, we're going to give you the address right now.
Or your husband or wife who's having a birthday.
Good
Who
idea.
was a Patches pal.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're
I
always
thought
a Patches
Patches
program was commercial free. What are you?
No. But once you're a Patches pal, you're always a Patches
all right.
pal.
Now listen, whether
Unless you're a Boris buddy.
or whether you're in Silverdale or Oak Harbor or Port Townsend or Port Angeles or wherever, why don't you give this man make contact by how? How do we get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website, jppatches.com, and just click onto that.
That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
There's an
easy.
email address right there.
Uh-huh.
And so you will come, and what's your best format? You like to do about a 3-hour show, 2 or 3 hours?
Usually about an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, usually.
All right. Well,
Sometimes
okay,
birthday parties, they throw me out after about 45 minutes.
No, I don't believe that.
We've had enough of you.
And,
out the door.
So we have children, we have parents, we have grandparents, we have parents, and we have children. All remember you, don't they?
Well, sometimes. We were talking about Patches pals. Bob Newman used to play Boris S. Ward, the second meanest man in the world. And the kids would say, well, JP, if Boris is the second meanest man, who's the meanest? And I'd usually say, well, now you think about it. I think you probably know. They kind of screw up their face and they'd say, oh, yeah, the principal, Mr. Peterson. They'd always come up with someone,
Are kids still pretty much the same as they were maybe when you first started doing clown work? Do you have to play to them a little differently?
Well, no, I don't think so. But kids are much more aware, I think, now than they were, probably because of more television programs that they see that weren't available back, 30 years ago or so.
Are kids shows popular now? Are stations hiring somebody to do a kid show?
Oh, kid shows are popular, but there are no, as far as I know, any local kids show host.
Are they taking them off the network?
Yeah, the kids watch, like the Rugrats, which is a very funny show. I watch it. I think it's very funny. There are a lot of funny programs, but I think that the thing that's missing is the ability of the community children to meet the host time and time again. Here at a McDonald's where I used to appear, or a grocery store, there was that feeling of real friendship. It's more than a cartoon character that they watch on the air. It's a real live person. I recall one time a little girl came up to me and she kind of put her hands on her waist and she looked at me and she kind of said, "You're not J.P. Patches." And I said, "Oh, really? Why not?" She said, "'Cause JP's black and white." That was
like
before color TV.
Or she still had a black and white set.
Yeah.
We talked about J.P. Patches doing a personal appearance. Also, if you'd like to get a video, and they can contact Channel 9?
Channel 9, yes.
Or a shirt. How about a shirt?
Yeah, they have shirts and they have posters. They have everything there. So we were going to talk about Gertrude. If you recall.
All right. Now let's throw Gertrude in here.
Okay, Bob Newman.
Let Bob Newman remember that we haven't forgotten.
Right, Bob. At one time, I had several people on the air with different characters. I had Sheriff Shot Badly. I had Professor Wiener von Braun. And, these different people. Well, management decided that one person should play all the roles on the program. So Bob took over as Gertrude, Boris S. Ward, Ketchikan the Animal Man. I'm trying to think all the characters he played. He played Miss Smith from the Miss Smith Delivery Service. He played Gorse, the Friendly Purple. Anyway, Bob is no longer performing with me because he has multiple sclerosis, MS. It kind of slows him down a little bit. Not his mouth, but his body. And he's driving. When I say slowing down, he's driving a Corvette, which
With
doesn't
MS.
slow him down. Yeah. So you see him around here and there.
Where's your next appearance? Now, no, this is being recorded right now, so
Well,
perhaps.
I'm not
but,
sure. I
for the
know
next 2
where.
or 3 weeks.
I'm going to be in Kingston for the 4th of July, putting on a show there.
And then
and,
following that, maybe.
I'm going to. I think we mentioned the fairs. I'm going to
Yes.
5 or 6 fairs. Kitsap Fair and here and there. I don't recall all the places I'm going to be, but
Check the website.
yeah, right.
Go to the website. And
Well,
send,
that's not up to
may
date.
not be up to date, but
It's
if you
not
want
up
to
to
find
date.
out, you can send Chris an email and he'll
Right.
send one back to you.
Okay.
And let you know.
Jerry, we've had you here because you're a guest and you're.
I'm a fan.
You're all right. You're a fan.
Yeah.
And we have a fan, by the way, waiting out in the hall, waiting to meet you right now. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, they're even lined up here.
Oh
So-
my goodness.
What do you say about JP? You guys are from the same hometown as St. Paul.
Yep.
And do you ever knew him back there? Did you?
No, I saw him on television though. But
As Joe the Cook,
Yep.
I had 3 different roles there. One of them was Joe the Cook.
I had this funny accent. I used to talk like this because it's a Greek accent, and I say, "Hey, Casey Jones, come on in, boy. I got this beautiful lunch for you."
Then I did a Western character, Chuck Wagon Chuck, on a friend. I was his sidekick.
How was the old timer? Hi, buckaroo buddies. Say, we got a Jim Dandy of a Hopalong Cassidy movie.
And then there was another guy who was Captain 11, and Captain 11 quit. He went to Hollywood. That was Jim Lang of The Dating Game, and I took over Captain 11.
And we have to wrap this up right now. We got about 8 seconds. We want to say thank you, Chris Wedes or JP Patches or
Thanks,
whoever.
Frosty.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Jerry.
being here. And
Thank
all
you.
your friends say, "Oh, that was JP Patches. Now we've met him. Bye-bye." Well, there he goes, JP Patches or Chris Wedes. He's such a familiar person, and people get sentimental about him because he's been with so many kids and grandkids and parents, and people adore the guy. He's really the real article. Anyway, if you would like to get a hold of me in any way at all here for Talkline, it's f2radio@yahoo.com. That's my email address. All right. We got to go. See you later. See you next week at 10 o'clock on the station.
This has been Talkline with Frosty Fowler. You can contact Frosty through this station or by emailing him at f2radio@yahoo.com. Once again, that's f2radio@yahoo.com. Join us again next week at this same time as we discuss more of life's issues on Talkline with Frosty Fowler.